Hi, I'm John from Creative Remodeling. We did a tile video before of a curved shower system. And what we did was we took our subfloor, we applied a membrane over the top of that, ran our membrane up the walls, poured cement, pitched down to our drain, tiled the top of the curb, a marble top, and a tile face. This is your standard installation of a tile shower, and they have a product called a level entry shower. That's what we're going to be doing on this video. So I'm going to walk you through a lot of the components and installation as a dry fit, and then as we get going and we start putting the pieces together, you'll be able to see how the stuff gets set with the mortar and so on. So one of the first things is it's very popular now for people to convert their tubs to a walk-in shower. One of the things that you do need to be careful of is a typical tub drain is 1.5 inches, and a walk-in shower is required in our state of Massachusetts to be a 2-inch drain. Now that 2-inch drain has to go all the way from the shower down into the basement. So when you bring your plumber in, you might want to have him take a look at that, because that could make a big difference in the cost of the job. So we've already had our plumber here. Our plumber put the drain as close to center as he could, and we'll get into modifying the pan and showing what we do when the drain is not in the dead center. He's already converted the 1.5 inch pipe to 2-inch. Now, the next thing we want to do is the frame needs to be modified to accept the curbless pan. So how these work is the level entry pan, 7/8 of an inch, made of PVC, sits on top of our floor joist. So next to the floor joist, once we undo all of the plywood, we go ahead and we set blocks next to the floor joist, 3/4 of an inch down. Now I also put some reinforcement blocks in here just to sturdy up that plywood. With the level entry system pan, they require an 8-inch opening for the drain itself. So we make sure that we have our blocking around our 8-inch opening, make sure that we have enough room on our blocking we set next to the joist, make everything smooth to the top of the floor joist. Our next step is we're going to cut the plywood that's going to fit inside our recessed openings and around the drain. Now, when we fasten that permanently, we're going to use screws and glue to set this down to the floor. And as you can see with the blocks in there, this is very solid. Now this set of blocks back here, if you see that I ran these flush actually to the top of the joist, and the reason being for that is I couldn't connect the block to a joist that was underneath the wall. So what we did was we lagged through the top of the wall plate and down into the block to secure that flush with the bottom of the wall plate itself. And that's going to give us our nice smooth surface. This one is the solid blocks, and this panel here has the plywood with the nailers underneath. So again, we set our next panel. Now as you can see here, this is our original subfloor, and we cut that halfway back on the floor joist here, and that's where our new pan is going to butt up against. Also, the Vim system that manufactures our pans recommends that we are 2 inches inside, at least 2 inches inside our new shower wall. So I want to show you the modification of the pan itself. When you purchase the pan, this is the pan here. This is made of ABS, and the pan comes 47.5 inches wide by 59.5 inches long. They give you these perforated lines here as a guideline on where you can cut this pan to fit to suit the size of the shower that you're using. Now in this particular case, we couldn't get the drain to sit dead in the center from front to back. We got it to sit in the center from side to side, so I had to make a few modifications. When you modify the pans and deviate from the actual lines that they have, what I do is this. I try to get one cut on one of their lines. So before I cut this, these lines ran all the way around the pan. So this was my first cut here, which I cut on one of these lines straight across here. The reason I do that, and I try to stay on one line, is that way I can keep a consistency of the thickness of the pan all the way around. The more that you change these lines, so for example, if I were to cut the third line on the sides and the second line on the front, the thickness of the pan is going to be different on the side than it is on the front. So what we do with that is when we set the pan, we can adjust that with the thin set that's going to go into the recessed area. So I'll show you what I mean by that is we have our recessed area cut. The drain is centered on the pan. Okay. Now the pan always gets set level. So our areas that we have exposed here, we'll put the mesh that's included with the Vim kit, the mesh in here, and then we'll fill this with a slope from here to the wall. Same on this side. On the front, we don't need to do that. The way that these are designed is these are raised 7/8 of an inch to put next to our 3/4 inch plywood. That gives us 1/8 of an inch that's sticking up above the plywood. Now, as you may notice, we held our cement board, which is 1/2 an inch, on our subfloor back 12 to 15 inches. When we put our mesh on our plywood, after the pan is fastened to the recessed opening, we'll float from the 1/2 inch to 1/8 of an inch, which will give us 3/8 of an inch of pitch from the outer edge of the floor back into our shower, creating a little waterfall. So if there's any water that's splashed around, that's going to head right back towards our drain. These are really a great system. They're ADA compliant. They look really clean and streamlined. So you've seen it go in dry. The next time we put this on, we'll start putting this together. See you then.